If you already own an older Skoda Octavia RS, I've got bad news for you, because you're going to have to consider trading up to this all-new version. The sporty sedan and wagon refines the recipe of the previous generation models. It's more sophisticated, more stylish, more enjoyable to drive, and it's a bit more spacious too. And if you're watching from outside of Australia, yes, we do have the vRS, but we use a silent V. That's why we're calling it the Octavia RS, in case you're wondering. Now let me run you through this all-new version of the Octavia RS. We've got the sedan and wagon to talk about. We know you're busy, so we've put time codes on your screen so you can jump ahead if there's something in particular that you want to find out about. There's also chapter markers in the timeline below if you're watching on YouTube. And also on YouTube, you'll find a link to my full detailed review in the description, so make sure you check it out. The Octavia RS has a bit of a weird history when it comes to its appearance. The first generation one was sharp and snouty, and then the facelift of it made it look a little bit blobby and soft. And then the second generation version, I think, was one of the best looking cars at that time. And then the facelift, well, I think it wrecked it with that arachnid sort of weird headlight look. But this version is an all new car, and to me it looks sharper and more powerful than ever before. But tell us what you think in the comments section below. The front end is nowhere near as busy in terms of the design this time around. The bold black grille and air intake finishes and crisp LED headlights look sharp and smart, and it's a lot less fussy than before. The choice of liftback or wagon might be a non-consideration for you, but both look great in profile, with really nice proportions and some strong character lines creating a muscular stance. Some of our team think the wheels look a bit tame, but I like them. The rear of the liftback model is less distinctive than you might hope, with a familiar look that we've seen on other brands, and that's mainly down to the taillight design, which sort of carries over to the wagon, although the wagon is more easily identified, and not just because of that on-trend lettering across the tailgate. The cabin design has changed considerably too. This is a more modern looking interior with a pair of huge screens, a new steering wheel, revised trim, and still the clever Skoda bits you'd expect. We're going to take a look inside the cabin of the Octavia RS soon, or you can jump ahead to that if you want to, but next we're going to take a look at the range and pricing. The Octavia RS sits at the top of the regular Octavia range, and we're not covering all of those models here. It's just the sporty sedan and wagon that we're focusing on for this review. They are priced a little differently, but they are spec'd identically, and here's a rundown. All Octavia RS models have plenty of standard gear, including full matrix LED headlights, LED daytime running lights, LED tail lights with sequential indicators, 19-inch alloy wheels, red brake calipers, a rear spoiler, black exterior highlight package, black lettering, and a lowered suspension setup. Inside there's a leather and fabric lined cabin, sports seats, a 10-inch touchscreen media system with sat-nav, digital radio and smartphone mirroring, 4 Type-C USB ports, the 12.3-inch virtual cockpit driver info screen, and all RS grades have keyless entry, push-button start, front and rear parking sensors, and plenty of other safety spec besides. More on that later. If you want a bit more, there's the RS Premium Pack, which costs $6,500 and adds adaptive chassis control, electric front seat adjustment, heated front and rear seats, driver's seat massage function, a head-up display, semi-autonomous park assist, 3-zone climate control, and rear sun blinds, even in the sedan. Choose the wagon and there's an optional panoramic sunroof too. What do you reckon? Is that good value? Tell us your thoughts in the comments section below, but next we're going to take a look inside the car, and that may change your opinion on whether you think it's a good value car or not. The interior of this new generation Octavia RS is a huge step forward for the brand and for this particular model. The previous one felt a bit derivative of Volkswagen products, where this seems to carve its own way forward. It's got a really sort of interesting and stylish look to it, and also very minimalist, which I think is probably going to be a theme we see with Skoda products moving forward. We've seen it with other cars like the Kamiq and the Scala, but we've got a nice big digital screen in front of the driver with configurable displays, which is pretty neat. A new steering wheel with interesting little dial knob things on there, which are chrome looking and pretty easy to get used to. They do sort of take a moment for you to customize yourself with, but I think it looks really nice and it feels nice in the hand as well. There's obviously this big media screen as well, but it's not only a media screen, it also controls some of the functions of the car, like the climate control, and that might annoy you because it annoys me, but thankfully there is a little home section down the bottom here, so you can make quick adjustments to the temperature, but you still have to go into a menu to change the fan direction and speed. And there's also a little fast key system, so you can hit air recirculation up here on the screen as well, which is pretty neat. Another neat thing is the touch volume bar here, which instead of a dial or a knob, you've got a bar which adjusts the volume as you drag your finger across it, which I think is kind of cool, but then I sort of think, why not just a knob? That thing hasn't failed in the past. Now let's talk about storage. We've got a wireless phone charger down here, which is neat. You've also got two USB-C charge points there. You've got a pair of cup holders between the seats here, but using the trusty CarsGuide Keep Cup, doesn't actually fit in there. So if you are a fan of a large coffee or tea, then you're going to need to consider otherwise, because that size of cup doesn't quite fit. There are big bottle holders if you're a cold water drinker or a fizzy drinker. I don't know if that matters to you, but there's also a smallish center console bin here, and I guess that's one thing that Skoda has always had, is small center console bins. I don't know why. But anyway, the seats are really comfortable, good adjustment, and this car has the amazing panoramic sunroof. Again, without a knob or dial, it's got a little touch sensitive thing up here, so you can adjust the roof blind and also open the roof if you want it open as well. That'll cost you $1,900 and it's only available in the wagon. Okay, so should we check out the back seat now? Backseat space for a car of this size is actually not quite as generous as you might hope for. This seat is set for me, 182 centimeters or 6 foot tall, and as you can see, my knees are almost brushing up against it. My toes are underneath the seat and they're comfortable enough, but headroom is also a bit limited, and if you're optioning this panoramic roof, that might factor into your decision. If you've got tall teenagers, for instance, they might not find it as comfortable back here as it could be. But there are some other comfort items that you might like. There's rear seat air vents. This car also has rear seat heating and front seat heating as well, but that's optional. Remember, you have to tick a few options boxes if you want some nicer things in your RS. But in terms of practicality, it's not a bad space to be. There's map pockets on the backs of both seats. There's little phone holders in there as well, which is kind of neat. There's a flip down armrest in here with a pair of cup holders, but let's do the test with the Keep Cup. And I mean, if you jam it in there, it might be okay, but yeah, it's not ideal. There's big bottle holders in the doors, and one thing I really like about the seat backs, you get these little fold out wings, so you can just have a little snooze, and obviously if you're a backseat sleeper, that might be a nice pillow for you. So all in all, not a bad back seat, but not excellent in terms of space, but it is a really comfortable seat itself. Now, should we check out the boot? Luggage space in the liftback sedan model is 600 litres, which is more than the previous version and plenty for most families. But if you want a little bit more, or like me, you just love the look of a wagon, then you get 640 litres of cargo capacity in here. And just to give you an idea, that means you can fit the CarsGuide luggage, you might have similar luggage, And there's still room to spare as well. There's also clever little cargo holds on the side, there's cargo nets as well, and you get a space saver spare wheel under the boot floor as well. And if you need even more space, maybe you're lugging something long, then you can fold down the rear seats by hitting these little toggles on the side of the boot. And you'll see the boot figures when you lower those seats on your screen now. Every single Octavia gets an electric tailgate, which is pretty nice. And I just wanted to also say, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. We'd love to have you there, and as part of our community, hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that bell icon, and you can keep up to date with all of our latest videos. Next, we're going to take a look at the safety specs of the Octavia RS. The Octavia and Octavia RS were scored a 5-star Euro NCAP safety rating in 2019, and Aussie Cars will carry that over as an NCAP rating. And here's a rundown of what you get in the Octavia RS. There's auto emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection, and lane departure warning and lane keeping assistance, auto high beam lights, blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, and rear autonomous emergency braking too. There's a reversing camera, front and rear parking sensors, adaptive cruise control, and there are 10 airbags fitted, including front center airbags and rear side airbags. Next, let's take a look under the bonnet. In Australia, there's only one powertrain available in the Octavia RS. It's a 2-litre, 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine with pretty oomphy numbers and a quick 0 to 100 time, but we're missing out on a few things in Australia. There's no manual, there's only a 7-speed dual clutch automatic, and it sends power to the front wheels. Yep, there's no all-wheel drive, and there's also no diesel or plug-in hybrid, which you can find in other markets. Oh, and this engine, it's exactly the same as the last one. But does that matter? Well, let's see. Let's go for a drive and find out. Same outputs, so what? The old engine in the RS 245 version of the Octavia was excellent, and it carries over to this new generation car, and it's still excellent. There's plenty of power and torque available to you, and with a 0 to 100 time of 6.7 seconds or whatever it is for the sedan or the wagon, it's quick enough. There's no doubt about that. And also the 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission, which is standard, is terrific. It isn't as laggy as some of the other dual clutches in the Skoda and Volkswagen ranges. In fact, it's just got a real niceness to it, which is perhaps surprising. If you've had a bad experience with a dual clutch, don't discount this new generation Octavia RS, because the dual clutch in this is really good. It's smooth, there's not too much lag to contend with from a standstill, and the shifts are snappy as well. Obviously, you've got paddle shifters if you do want to take matters into your own hands, but most of the time you're not going to need them because it's smart as well. Using the drive modes, you've obviously got Sport, Normal, Comfort, Eco and Individual, and I'm in Sport right now because we're on a nice little twisty bit of road here, and as you can hear, there's a bit of audible noise coming through, and that's actually artificial noise that's created by some little speaker up in front of you, and it sounds really good to me, but you can turn it off if you don't like it. The steering is really good. It's direct and accurate no matter which drive mode you're in. There is a little bit of torque steer to contend with at times. That means when you flatten the throttle, the steering might feel like it's pulling to one side, but honestly, it's not to the point of annoyance or frustration. It's just something you've got to be mindful of if you do plant your throttle. The suspension compliance is excellent. It hardly ever feels like it's crunching or lumpy over bumpy sections of road, and that's whether you're in sport mode, which is quite firm obviously, or in comfort mode like we're in now, which just softens things off nicely. I really like that. Obviously that's part of the adaptive chassis setup, which isn't standard, so just keep that in mind. You might need to spend a little extra to get the best RS you can get, but it's worth the money if you ask me. The active safety technology seems to work very well. It's not too invasive, which I really like. And one downside is the road noise. There's quite a bit of it to contend with, even at lower speeds. So if you live in a place where the roads are a little bit less than perfect, you might need to factor that into your test drive. For me, this is one of the best cars to drive in the segment, and for the money, it's exceptional. It's a really well sorted package, one of the best cars I've driven in 2021. The official combined cycle fuel consumption figure is what you see on your screen now, and they are identical for both the sedan and the wagon. And we've spent some time in both cars as well, and you can see our average figure on your screen now. Now let's also take a look at some nice features here. You've got an ice scraper in here, and you'll find your tyre inflation figures inside the fuel filler cap. You need 95 premium unleaded though, so just keep that in mind. So, speaking of ownership, let's take a look at ownership. Skoda Australia offers a couple of intriguing choices for customers. You can buy a 3-year service pack for $800 or a 5-year service pack for $1,400, both of which save you money over the old pay-as-you-go maintenance. Or there's even a subscription model if you'd like to pay by month. The service intervals are 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, and you get a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty as well, which is par for the course. Maintain your car with Skoda's service workshops, and you can get up to 10 years of roadside assist included as well. The Skoda Octavia RS is a brilliant car for families who like fast things. It's powerful and punchy, great to drive, has excellent practicality and packaging, and it's pretty good value for money too. It's so good, in fact, this is the score that it gets, and that score is going to make more sense if you make sure you read my full detailed review at the CarsGuide site. Thanks for watching.